And first we'll go to Mr. Roman.
There's a couple of different ways to handle this. Right now it is by consensus of the council themselves. They select their mayor. There is, we could consider doing it an alternative way, which would be by highest number of votes cast. But as far as from what I've read in the statutes, the council shall select their mayor. Unless there is a legal interpretation that allows to do it differently, I think we may be stuck on this one. I think that the role of mayor is an important one, and whoever receives it should use that office to the best of their abilities. They should be good at conducting a meeting. They should maintain the decorum of the chamber. They should maintain good discourse in the chamber. And that's something that sometimes happens and sometimes doesn't. Again, this is about returning control of the meeting from the town manager to the mayor. I mean, at this point, it almost kind of doesn't matter who's up there going through the agenda items because they really aren't doing anything. The first thing we do when we have the mayor lead the Pledge of Allegiance, then he just immediately hands it over to the town manager for the manager's report, and everything from the council is later. So, at this point, almost what difference would it make? I'd rather see a mayor who takes control of the process, regardless of who it is, so long as they are the ones running the meetings and controlling the agenda and managing what's going on in the chamber, as a body of Verona residents. I mean, that's why we're elected up there. We're elected public officials. That's our job. At least hopefully, if I can make that better. Thank you.
Mr. Sapienza.
Yes, thank you. Just going by what's been the history of in the past, that the mayor has been selected by the council members. I'd be willing to listen and maybe consider a change as we move forward. But at this point, I think that's what we have in place, and maybe we need to change that to make sure we get a different feel of how that person gets selected. It's the mayor and the deputy mayor. So I'd be interested and open to any other ideas, and providing prior to the next coming of the next council, and be willing to talk to the council and see what they think.
Thank you. Mr. Malcolmson?
I think it's a great question, and this came up 2 years ago. We had an election, and Councilman Ryan won overwhelmingly, the majority, and he was the top vote getter. And I went outside the lines, and I wanted him to be the mayor. I figured he ran against 2 other councilmen who won. His votes tallied far more than they had, and you figure, obviously, the taxpayers and the citizens are speaking. We just had an election. There's no other report card that's fresher than that. And so I nominated him for mayor. Ultimately, he didn't win. He didn't even get deputy mayor, and he was the top vote getter. So I think the key with this election is you need to elect councilmen who are pragmatic, who are logical, who are intelligent, who are going to make good decisions for those in town and represent the taxpayer. Because when you have the top vote getter not even get a nod for the mayor's position or the deputy mayor's position, maybe there's something wrong with the council makeup, not the general population, because they voted and Mr. Ryan got the most votes. But I think you need a mayor with leadership, a mayor who's going to generate consensus, a mayor who is intelligent, but a mayor who's going to reach across the lines and look for a 5-0 vote on everything. Make compromises and try to get that 5-0 vote. It's not about 3 votes, but 3 votes make changes happen. But the goal would still be 4 or 5 votes with every vote. So we're not looking for 3 votes, but we're looking for more than that. And I think the council and I think the taxpayers need to look at who they're electing and really think about who they want to be thinking for them when they're at work. Thank you.
Mr. Williamson?
Fair enough. You could look at it either way. Everything should be open for discussion. Every council's got a different opinion. If you go with the top vote getter from that election, well, what about the other, on the off year, what about the other 2 guys or 3 guys that are there? So I don't think the council choosing the mayor amongst themselves is a bad thing. That's something for each individual council to realize. The way it is, you only need to win by 1 vote, right? I know what it's like to lose by 1 vote. So, that's something that's got to be an individual thing with each individual council. The Board of Ed does the same thing. They elect their president amongst them. I think John Cartrochi's been president for 12 years. I don't know that anybody's complaining over there. We elect 5 people. Right? They have to choose who gets the nod amongst those 5.
Thank you. Are there any rebuttals?